folks, I'm Alex Stradling, and this is a Fact TV special presentation show. And I have two guests on today, two filmmakers who did a great short film called Hard Luck. It was one of the short films that we played at the Bellows Falls Backyard Film Festival. And just what I would have to say about the film, it's a great little short film. It's an homage to the silent film era. The performance for the main actor was great. He's got a great performance, and the comedy and the jokes just land. So we were sitting in the theater, and people were laughing. My mom was sitting next to me, and when it came to the punchline, she was just laughing. So it's a great little short film. And the two filmmakers behind that are Kenneth and Ivan Baymar, the Michael Bay of
so true.
And they're from Keene State, and they're both in the film program over there, correct? And they're both passionate filmmakers, and I'm a filmmaker, so we're on here to talk about their film, Hard Luck, and we're going to show you that film, and I'll let them say, but this is a world premiere, right, of a different version of their short film, Hard Luck. So
real exclusive.
Yeah. So tell me about this version first before we what's the difference between this version and what we watched at the.
Well, during the process of this Hard Luck, this black and white film, these little gizmos that they're working in a process laboratory, they spilled all the ink, all the freaking colored ink everywhere, and you're going to see a Technicolor version of Hard Luck. You're going to see it full in color, all edited the same style, but you're going to see all the brilliant, vibrant colors. And I want you to list off every single color that you see and have fun.
That's great. With that said, we want to talk about a little bit about the film and who you guys are, and in terms of, how did you come up with this idea and wanting to do sort of this homage to silent film? So who came up with the idea?
Me.
Okay. Yes. Tell me about it. So.
Hi. Yeah. So I did a class for script writing class in Keene State, and this was actually a script for a second exercise I did, and we had to make a completely silent script, no dialogue whatsoever, only visuals, and I wanted to make a project with that certain film, and I was thinking about 16 millimeter because it's a silent film when it's being processed, so there's no audio whatsoever, so it was just perfect for that type of project.
Yeah, and you're the main actor too.
Oh boy,
you did a great job. So what was your approach actually to your performance? Because I think you have such a great, visually you just you convey the comedy so well and the plight without, just like a great silent film actor would, like Charlie Chaplin. I think you had all of those qualities in the short film that just really sold it. So, how did you approach it?
Well, my deal was that Kenny was obsessed with, now, you're probably going to strangle me if I mix up the word Buster Keaton and Michael Keaton. Which one was it?
Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton.
So Buster Keaton was your...
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of, Buster Keaton compilation videos. That was, my personal Family Guy funny moments, watching all of these. And I've inspired a lot of the acting that I've seen Bruce Campbell and Jim Carrey do, all that stuff of more, and Rowan Atkinson definitely, growing up with Mr. Bean and all that, definitely more facial and all these crazy, it's like I felt like a marionette almost, doing over-exaggerated motions, especially that the film was twice the speed. I felt that brought a more impact. And definitely, yes, facial expressions, all that stuff. Totally inspired by this, John K's Ren and Stimpy cartoons. I just really wanted to over-exaggerate. And I would sometimes, do some practices here and there. So, fun eyebrow raises, my jaw would move around, nose, all that stuff, eyes, ears, maybe.
I think, your performance was spot on in terms of that.
Oh yeah.
In terms of that era,
yeah,
and I think
Kenny has a great director's vision. I definitely he knows how to communicate properly of what he wants.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd throw a crowbar at you for not listening.
So we're actually a little bit knee deep talking about this film, but we don't know. Just give us a little. What's the film about before we go to what's the premise of this film before we cut to the world premiere of the color version?
So the film is basically a guy going into an elevator, and he realizes that he's stuck in the elevator and he's trying to find his way out. And of course, when he gets to the end, that's where you find out about what happens. So I don't want to spoil anymore. So.
Okay, so we're gonna roll the world premiere of the colored version of Hard Luck. So there you go. Great short film, and the color version definitely makes it definitely a different experience for sure. So what I want to ask about is, so what we're, we see what's in front of the camera, and it looks so easy. So tell me about the process, from beginning to end for people that aren't sort of into filmmaking. How did you guys go about filming it? It's obviously one location, which was, if folks in filmmaking don't know, when you have one location, it makes things a lot easier. But tell me, for this specific project, as a filmmaker, what were kind of what were the good things that came out? What were some of the challenges about this particular film?
Well, this was 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
We had such a hell experience with 16 millimeter.
So 16 millimeter, what's that? So people...
Can you say it first?
Yeah, so it's basically a Bolex H16 reflex. That's the camera, what it's called.
Yeah.
And we use these 16 millimeter...
Don't open it, please.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive to light.
Yeah,
It
so...
also says radioactive on it.
So these are the, cases that we get for Kodak when we buy the actual film through online and everything. And these come in these small square packaging boxes, and we have to seal it off, and then we have to load the camera like in a darker area because we don't want sunlight to expose the actual film or it's ruined. So we have to load the actual camera itself in a darker place so that it stays sealed. But then once we film it, it's already exposed, so it doesn't really matter if it's like in the sunlight.
All manual.
So that
There's
was
no
the
rewinds.
challenging aspect. Is this the
Yeah.
first time that you've worked with film and
Yes,
using a film
100%.
camera?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
It was
our
definitely a lot of
first-
challenges, but it's, to be honest, the challenges paid off in the long run because it's good to learn how to use the actual camera first. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of positives about it because it's just amazing filmmaking by actually filming on film, which
Yeah.
is actually like the normal way back in the day that they did.
When they filmed it, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Oh, the process is expensive as balls. So we got part of Nothing Burger, which
Yep.
is an upcoming 60mm film that Kenny and I worked on.
Yep.
And we have this likes to fall off my wall all the time, so you can see all
Yep.
the bullet holes and everything. This is part of Vermicidal Heist,
Oh,
which
cool.
is also like our first 60mm camera.
And actually,
Christ, it was all manual, it was expensive. Never again. Never
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
And I actually have the actual film roll itself for Hard Luck actually right
yeah,
below
all
here.
right, yeah, show us
Show
that.
Here is the 2 rolls of Hard Luck, 6 minutes of footage, basically. And this is pretty much the full finished, like, raw footage
Version
of
on
everything.
film
Yeah.
for people to
Yep.
project on. Now, how many reels of film did you use to film Hard Luck? Do you remember 60mm reels? Do you
Yeah, so it's just basically 2 rolls that we
you
use.
use 2 rolls
Yep.
to actually
2
film
rolls.
it?
Yep.
Okay.
There was a
At 10
deal.
minutes each, right? Is
Uh,
that what
it's-
no,
3
absolutely
minutes.
Not. So here's the
3
deal:
minutes?
that, like,
3
it's
minutes.
around 1 to 3 minutes depending on your
Yeah.
frame rate. The
Yep.
frame rate affects all of that.
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely, yeah.
And wow, it's also expensive to afford
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just so people don't know, and back in the film days, I mean, obviously the 60mm film cameras have their own mechanical, I don't know if it's a spring or an
Yeah.
actual battery that spins the reel so that you can expose it. But, you know, obviously the first film cameras were hand cranked,
Yeah.
right?
Right? Yeah.
And so a lot of folks, when it comes
Yeah.
to frame rate, they don't realize where it came from. Well,
Yeah.
when they started doing silent film, it was
Yeah.
they would undercrank it to maybe like 15 frames
Yeah.
a second to look the action, look natural, and then the studios realized the most natural motion
Right.
at the cheapest rate,
Yeah.
not having to use a lot of reels, was cranking it, you know, at 24 frames a second, where it looked natural, not too fast, but at the same time, they're not wasting a lot of money cranking it
Yeah.
at like 30 frames a second and stuff like that. So
No rewinds, no retakes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Being pointed of a 60mm camera when you're acting is equivalent as a gun point to
Yeah.
you. You screw up, you're freaking done. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was trembling. I was nervous. Kenny, please stop. Yeah.
I think the good thing about shooting on film and shooting on film is it makes you a little bit more prepared for what you're doing because, you know, obviously we have digital cameras today, and there's most folks or filmmakers have never worked with film before, and it's like, you know, there's sort of a gluttony of you got plenty of time, you can just hit record on the camera, and there isn't sort of a huge dollar cost amount to the in time if you waste a reel and stuff like that. So is that what your experience was when working with 16mm?
Yeah, pretty much like the camera itself had different frame rates. You can put it as we did 16 frames because that's the original like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton type
Yep.
of like fast motion
Yep.
slapstick comedy. And yeah, it's when you're actually filming with the actual roll, when you're using it for 24 frames, it's only 3 minutes per roll. But when you're filming more in a faster pace, like 16 frames, it's pretty much like adds 15 more seconds to actual footage. So you get more footage on the actual roll itself.
Yeah.
Kenny loves his old good days. He wants to go back to the time where it's impressive to not
Yep.
die at the age of 26. Fully.
Pretty much.
So how much of what was the crew size? Was it just you?
It was just
and
us
him?
two.
Just
Oh,
us,
okay.
yeah.
So a two-man crew.
Right, yeah.
Did you guys do any lighting, or did you use the lighting that was in the space that you used for the elevator?
The lighting of the elevator was
natural-
perfect.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, it was perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, because what we had was a lighting meter that came with the kit
Yeah.
itself. So we had to use the lighting meter and see to actually like, you know, do the modifications for the settings of the camera for the lighting so that it doesn't look too dark or too bright.
Yeah.
So we just pretty much had to do that for lighting.
And
stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know when I worked with 16 millimeter film, yeah. I mean, so a cinematographer's job has changed over the years. It's more or less, you record your image on a digital format. It's raw, and then, you do some test shots, and then the cinematographer or the colorist will go in and adjust the look, save that look, and then apply that to the camera. Well, back in the day, when it came to film, the cinematographer had to have a knowledge and experience of the type of film that they were using, what that was going to render out, what it was going to look like when it was processed. They have to see, okay, what's the natural lighting? Do what you did, expose properly, and then adjust those settings. So it was a little bit of magic, a lot of skill involved, because they didn't have no monitor to see, okay, this is exactly what it's going to look like. They had to, it was kind of like baking a cake. They had to make sure that they did the steps right and that they knew what the end process, they'd been through the process before. So did you do some test footage on that, or you just kind of did?
We just kind of went with it because
I think there's a little bit of like extra. So we had to film the entire reel. So there may be like some extra test shots, some footage, something like that.
Yeah.
I could also send them to you as well.
Yeah.
If you're just like curious of like what happened to the rest of the footage. I guess there's just like me like falling down. Like falling down the camera stand.
Yeah.
So I'm actually like surprised when I was reached out by Fact TV saying that like, hey, we watched Hard Luck. We want to put it daily on air or something like that. I was like so excited. I was telling Kenny, it's like 20,000 people at least are watching me doing the freaking troll face. And like Kenny's awesome cinematography. And 20,000 people. By the way, everyone on the audience, can you all say dog at the count of 3? 1, 2, 3, dog. Now what's gonna happen is that from now on, 20,000 and adding, you're gonna hear people say dog randomly every time this show airs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the one thing I like...
Can everyone say yellow at the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Now, you had some graphics work, and we'll talk a little bit about post-production, because it's slightly different, and I want to... post-production for folks is sort of the editing and piecing together the film and putting in the elements afterwards. But what I did like about the film is you kept it modern. It's not like, oh, I'm making a silent film and I'm going to use the same techniques, and then I'm also going to dress, and it's going to be it's going to be in that time frame.
Right.
Well, this was like watching a film like today, but just shot like they did yesterday, and that was great. And I love the two of the modern aspects that you incorporated into it. I'm not going to say one of the things, but there was this sort of like the matrixy sort of graphic design thing when he's thinking. So how did you composite those elements, Ian? What did you do? Was that in post? So tell me.
Oh no, that was all real. That was all real. There was a huge projection of like the half-lift graphics, and I was just like trying to select which tool I use.
So you projected that in when you were filming it?
That was just an IRL thing. See, if you like switch your brain into like a certain stem, and then you projected it with your eyes, you can actually get the selection of like new weapons and tools.
Oh yeah. No, I don't.
So what I did was I was playing Gary's mod.
Yeah.
So I was playing Gary's mod, and I was in front of like a green screen just to do selecting characters. Kenny showed. Do you have the crowbar?
Yes, I do.
So we have a lot of props to show off. So Kenny was showing me a crowbar. So one of the instances is like, oh, can you like crank up?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, can you like crank up the doors and stuff like that? And I was thinking, now wait a minute, crowbar?
Yeah.
This was like my literal like caveman invention moment. I was thinking, dude, I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer so much, so I was like, repeating the Half-Life, like, Gordon Freeman swinging around the the crowbar, running around doing like I should have bunny hopped, and trying to crank it open, and then just hitting myself. It was a small gig. I was wondering that like every time this showed, how many people is gonna get that reference? And it didn't matter because people were laughing either way.
Well, I like it was the gaming element that you added in there, that more modern element into stylistically into something that was meant for old silent film era, and adding those modern elements. It was a cool mix. You know what I mean?
It was.
So
fun.
In terms of the post production, so did you guys? You had to take the film reels and. Did you get them digitally processed so that you could cut it?
Yes, we got them digitally processed. They were sent to me. I was working on a lot of the Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What did you? Who processed it for you?
So we had a it was color lab, and they gave me the actual copy, and I sent it to Ivan.
Yeah.
And he started editing pretty much like all that.
Okay.
Pulling off all-nighters, overdosing on energy drinks. It was great.
Yeah.
It was really great, especially that I was learning a lot. I was taking topics in production, learned a lot about editing skills.
Yeah.
So J cuts, L cuts. I learned more about juxtaposition. I was having fun with sound effects. Sound played like an interesting role, which I was sure that like that's going to be brought up. Jesus Christ, I was like in a Ren and Stimpy phase at the time for no reason. I was showing Kenny, hey, look at this Ren and Stimpy episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying, yeah, it was totally fun.
In terms of sound effects is huge. Prior to the 60 millimeter, to the silent film days, before they had amplification speakers, they would actually just have a band.
Yeah.
Right.
Either play at the screenings or a piano player with the sheet music.
And even then, you have like films dubbed over, but getting actual dialogue. I've seen people do that mistake, and we were in the subject of this mistake in film. When it comes to like dialogue of actually like record dialogue, when Kenny and I were filming Nothing Burger, it's fully dialogue.
Yeah.
And the problem was when trying to match the dialogue with the sound with the lip syncing. The issue was the reason why I'm not finished with the film yet is because constantly you have to speed it up, slow it down. What happened was the 60 millimeter kept switching from 24 to 38 to 16 to a 42 to 60. Wow. I didn't know what was going on over here. I thought like my PC was glitching out until I realized that something's up. So I just figured, and I got like a great reaction too of like the original dialogue. I didn't want to dub it over because it would sound too artificial. So I figured I'm gonna take the extra time. Maybe it'll take like more weeks. I'm gonna take the extra step, but that's the thing. I can see why 16 millimeter. I can see why before the digital age, why films were dubbed over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the variable frame rate.
Right,
yeah.
And to like answer your question about like pre and post production, a lot of the stuff we filmed was post production because we went from the script, so we moved a lot of things over, like move them into different parts because the script is a lot different than the actual. Do you got it?
Got what?
Oh no.
Script?
Yeah, the script itself.
I was gonna show the dynamite.
Oh yeah, damn.
It was another thing about with post production editing.
Yeah.
Explosion.
Yeah.
And a little like thingy on the which by the way I recorded that voice. I was in front of like I was just doing that.
So this is the actual pre-production script.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing a post-production script because a lot of directors like to have a post-production after filming and stuff like that. This is the original, and I actually do have the actual title cards that Ivan actually drew for me to to help me out and everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Look,
the
Kitty,
title.
Come on camera, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at that stuff. So
It's the actual
had
title
those.
card.
We put it in a negative filter, so it looked like it was a black background.
This
with
is
text.
the directed and written by me, and then starring Ivan Baymar,
Yeah.
and then the end.
And the end.
There you go.
We did the same
So-
with Vermicidal Heist, but this was a nice
And it's interesting, the title cards and stuff.
Yes.
For years,
Yeah.
would let you know that even on cable broadcast, they would have to do.
Yeah.
Even on broadcast, they would have to do title cards because computers and saving those files. We have an old bulletin board back in the 70s when they broadcast stuff out. It's basically you put your cards in this little sort of rotating wheel, and then there's a camera facing it.
Yeah.
And then it just broadcasts it out, and the wheel rotates every 5.
Yeah.
Okay, that's even
5
better. Like
seconds.
searching for like a.
I'll show you. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, because we actually filmed these actually on the camera itself.
Yeah.
We
Right.
actually filmed them.
We were
'cause-
given
yeah.
the option, hey, do it digital. No, like
No, no,
we've
no.
seen like awesome projects, but every title card except ours was digital, and it wasn't convincing. That's why Kenny and I get so many like feedbacks saying that like I couldn't even tell that this was made today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely
crazy.
look great. And so, just a little bit of background. What started Kenneth in both of you guys in sort of this filmmaking journey? Did you start as a young kid?
So, I originally I actually transferred from another college itself, NHTI down in Concord, New Hampshire. They had actual film analysis classes, and one of my professors, he's just an amazing guy. He he shows like amazing films for his classes, and I pretty much took 7 of them, like all of them, like every single semester. It was just amazing because he said that they only come out like every 2 or 3 years, so it's good to get ahead and get into his classes. And then I just wanted to find a place that actually had production film classes, and I saw Keene State. I'm like, that's the place for me for this.
Great. And Ivan?
As a young Shlomo, I was a fast learner, learning that films were artificial, all artificial. I know a lot of people took the time to realize that, like by the age of like maybe like 19, that characters that you see on TV, no, it's all like, you know, artificial. Cartoons ain't real, but they're made by real people. Yeah. I got inspired maybe at like 5, 4. I would just like make props out of like paper, and then I switched to like making stop motion, then making my own videos. I still had like a phase between like, do I want to make like short films, or do I want to stay with the algorithm, make like YouTube gameplays and like silly reactions, be next Tobuscus. And then I went back to this, and I feel so blessed taking, you know, a double major, film studies, film production. I'm learning so much, and even taking my own pace, like doing my own homework of, it's the thrill of being a big name. Like, I'm such a fan of like big names: James Cameron, Michael Bay, Quentin Tarantino. So the next, it's such a goal. The next big name, Ivan Baymar, that meets the general audience, the algorithm, the box office, everything. Big name, big name, big name. I just want to totally go into it. So yeah. that was my big moment. So yeah, you know, part about like meaning of life, all of that stuff. It's just having a purpose. Heck, I found my purpose. I'm not walking back anytime soon. I'm so happy. Again, we got more props.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, next one is the actual
goodness.
axe itself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Whoa, let me hold that. That was, what a thing. I could have done so many stuff with this axe, and again, like the script, there was a lot of stuff in the script that like I pitched to you that like, hey, can I do that stuff? You know, I was thinking that, hey, axe, big, long, thin. I was thinking that like, hey, what if I just do I just want to do like a direct reference of American Psycho of like, you know, it's said to be square. Yeah. Hey, Kenny! Ah! Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
And in terms of, so where was this elevator, by the way?
It was just some
building. Was it Keene State?
It was the
We were in the middle of the night, actually. We snuck each other in. It was locked outside.
No. I had access to it.
Oh, you ruined the fun because it felt great sleep. It felt great sleep.
He doesn't want to get in trouble.
I mean, it is a, you know, like public.
Night.
It's a public building for like students, so like if they have access to it and stuff like that. Because I had an art class in there. Yeah. And it's the Redfern building, and I'm like, this elevator looks great. It doesn't look modern at all. It looks old-fashioned. Yeah. I'm like, it's a small, tight elevator. It's like it's so weird how like, you know, like when I'm filming it, it's a very tight area, of course. Yeah. But it was a very fun experience.
We had to keep that elevator alive.
Did anyone while you were filming?
Thankfully not. No.
Come try to get.
No, absolutely not. But we had
give
to
you
keep
weird
that
looks
elevator.
like, what are you doing in the elevator?
We put all sorts of like props and random crap just to keep the elevator's doors open.
Oh yeah, because it's a like, working elevator.
There was no way that like Kenny and I would like both fit with the giant like camera stand and all that stuff. So that
that must have been a challenge between takes.
This was a challenge.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. Thank Yakub that like all of this footage looked so freaking damn good. Yeah. I'm so happy how it turned out.
Yeah. And did anyone walk by and see you guys from...
Actually, it was actually empty pretty much like where we were at, because I wanted to make sure we did it like close to 12 a.m. as possible, so that's like no one in the actual building itself, so that we pretty much had our privacy and stuff like
and be able to do it.
I actually had like that almost happened to me. So like first time, so it's still funny that like my first 2 times of doing 16mm, and my first 2 times that like, oh, you'll see it again in Nothing Burger, but it's like when I'm wearing like a bunch of like ash faces, all that stuff. First time walking, almost like walking out and then right back into the building when filming Vermicide Heist, I was realizing, hey, this is pretty problematic of like wearing that like face stuff in public. I'm not going to mention the word. So like, so the second like time it happened, I just like immediately washed my face or something like that. Yeah. Wow.
So you actually had to paint your face white, right?
Or no,
it was the BL word, that color that I had to paint my face. That like when the dynamite
The
exploded.
dynamite explodes.
Oh,
and his
for
face is
that.
all
Oh,
chalky.
okay.
Yeah, can you believe
Okay.
it? 2 times a dynamite exploded on two
Yeah.
16 millimeters or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That would not slide. That
Yeah.
would not slide.
Oh my goodness! When you actually like see Vermicidal Haze, he went like full on.
Yeah,
like,
no, full on.
explosion
Someone could have
and
just like stopped
everything.
by, hey, what do you think you're wearing in public like that? No,
Yeah.
I swear it was for a gig.
How long did it take you to shoot? I know you only had 4 minutes of. I mean, at the actual
Oh,
shoot
wow.
day.
We did it all in one go.
It was a
One go.
well.
Yeah.
So what was it?
We
like,
were spending all
about
nights.
An hour?
We will spend no.
About an
It
hour?
was
Pretty much like an hour or two.
An hour or two. Wow.
maybe like
Yeah.
like 5 to 7. But we spent like a lot of times prepping.
Well, yeah.
So it wasn't like immediately we stopped something. We stopped a scene and then we switched to something else. It was more of like a negotiation. How do we want this to do? We did
Yeah.
plenty of rehearsals before we actually. Because again, yeah, the whole 60 millimeter like gunpoint. You got to
Yeah.
do it right.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
many rehearsals, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that
Yeah.
took the longest was we were prepping for everything. Pretty much, I had to buy all the props, making sure we had everything.
Oh yeah.
He pretty much helped me with the cards themselves, so we pretty much had a day of that. But all of like the shooting,
Yeah.
we did it all in one go that day.
Oh, cool.
So about like 2, 3, 4 hours
Yeah.
around that max.
This is my favorite prop because like you have to get like really angry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's what.
like,
I love
Yeah,
that. part.
I don't know what else to demonstrate, but
This is mine. Though.
That was my that was one of my favorite parts when you
Yeah.
when you grab those out. Yeah, and that the last thing that I was
Kenny,
gonna
so
ask
why,
is
why are you like
so
looking back in the info?
the punchline which people have seen now. I mean, so was that? Did you originally come up with that goal before you started filming, or did that just come up as you were going? How did you come up
A
with the
little
punchline?
bit of both. I forgot what the original ending
When
was.
you were
but I
writing
think
the story.
That's the one that
No,
makes
no,
sense,
because
right?
the ending was the original ending, is like it was supposed
Okay,
to be,
yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But
Kenny,
also,
why are you
I forgot to
Yeah.
also mention your shirt's like on backwards. It's like inside out.
Wait, what do you mean? Is that what you were looking at me?
Yeah, pretty much your shirt is like.
You're freaking.
It's all right. You don't need it. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. Yeah. What's up, wise guy?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you guys? I know you have some other short films, but do you guys have plans on making another short film
100%.
coming up? So,
Yeah.
Oh, you bet your bucket.
Can you
we
give us
are.
a little
Yeah.
little teaser on that and what you're planning on doing?
So I am going to be brainstorming on ideas with Ivan and everything. I'm writing scripts as we speak.
Yeah.
And but I'm also preparing for the big, like, actual film. It's at the end of the year, basically my last year at Keene. I have one more semester next semester, and then the next semester I have after that, which is the fall of 2025 and spring of 2026. I have my big capstone film senior project, and that's when I graduate after that
Cool.
one.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be more of a budget base. So it's gonna be a lot of looking around for budget or just pretty much saving up. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. No, that's great. And do you have any side projects going on or anything like that? Or you guys working
Sorry, I'm just
together?
like I was just like Malden seething coping. I apologize.
Yeah.
This is my public apology. And speaking of public apologies, my upcoming film that's like the last time I'm ever touching 60 millimeter. You and I, Nothing Burger. Oh my goodness! Once I'm done with that, I'm also gonna pitch it to you guys. I'm not sure if it can slide though, cause it's got some like vulgar language and graphic imagery, but I don't know what else that I can spoil about Nothing Burger. It's
We're a free speech platform, so
Right,
you'll be
yeah.
fine. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that.
right, you know. Yeah, so like Nothing Burger is like it's a talk show host. It's a talk show host of like this guy hosts a show called That. Now that's offensive.
Okay.
Starts Melvin Bergerman, and we have a guest, and he's talking about like the own show that he worked on. So it's great, show on a show on a show.
Mm-hmm.
But he says something just so wild, so teeny tiny that like it turns into a public apology. Like you've seen the guy who played Kramer that like now he did the David Letterman public apology. And,
Yeah.
Stop laughing. It's not funny. It's a parody of that. You're not going to see like the actual like Laugh Factory part, but it's a parody of that, and I guess like I guess some people, I don't want people to think this is a political film. It makes fun of all certain stuff. It makes fun of people who get offended easily, but it also makes fun of people who point out at people who get offended easily. I don't believe in so like all this stuff is completely satire. I used the word woke in that movie, and like it's completely satire. So like I just want people to have a good laugh, and like I want to like also pitch this beyond that stuff. It's got an original soundtrack as well, which is fun. A lot of this stuff is completely original, I guess.
Yep.
So wow, yeah, you all got to stay tuned for Nothing Burger.
Yeah.
It's been like a huge passion
That
project
sounds
since
really
Howard's
great.
Dream.
And they're all both
And we
like,
all need comedy on sensitive subjects,
Oh,
and that
yes.
helps
Yeah,
people, you know.
it does.
and
yes.
even Hard Luck and Nothing Burger, I'm cinematography for both of those films.
Yeah, great, great.
Right.
Awesome, guys. You know, it was a pleasure to have you guys on and talk
Thank you.
about
Wow.
Thank you for
filmmaking.
having us.
You know, as a fellow filmmaker, it's always nice to see kids in a younger generation,
Right,
and
yes.
especially sort of learning the old craft and then
Totally,
sort of putting
yeah.
a new take on it. It's great. I mean,
Yeah.
Kids these days need to
this
get
is
more
is this-
inspired.
was
you know?
not,
Like,
nothing. You
yeah.
said Nothing Burger's the last 16 millimeter.
Totally,
Someone
like
gonna make
60
it-
mil. Screw that, it's too expensive. All manual. I'm switching back to digital. Get it? Yeah.
No, that's great. And look forward to Nothing Burger and to see what you guys are going to be doing in the future. And,
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you,
It's been a
Alex.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.